3, 2, 1.
You always take a shower with a pistol? How's the water?
Why don't you come in and find out?
Sounds very tempting, Miss,
To me.
Really? Well, there's only one small problem. I have no swimming trunks.
Neither have I.
I admit it's a little kinky.
What's going on, YouTube? This is 007 back at it again, giving you the formal presentation of the 220. Sorry for the delay. Due to time and circumstances, just didn't prevent it to do this sooner. Still got a lot of work to do, but for the most part, here we go. As you can see, this is my refugium. Still got a lot of work to do with it. There is no rock in this sand bed right now, but I did finally come to a conclusion that I'm going to put some live rock down here and aquascape a little bit and still leave room for my algae as well as the mangroves. I don't get any more mangroves, but here we go. From left to right, got my returns, still hard plumb, both of them running. Open them all the way up. They're running full blast. Got an Eheim 1260 back there and an Aquarium. I'm not sure what model, but that's rated for 700 gallons per hour, and the other is rated for about 900 gallons per hour. Got my UV set up. So 10 amp right there and a 15 amp. I have the 10 amp running into the 15 amp from the output of the 10 amp, just forcing it through the 15 amp. Still not using any pumps. These are the only two pumps I have in my sump here, as well as the pump for my skimmer, of course. But I decided to plumb it this way because I'm trying to reduce the amount of heat in my tank generated from all these pumps. So my plan is to get a bigger pump to eliminate both of those back there and power everything, my reactors and everything else if possible. I will keep a separate pump for my skimmer. Don't want to play with that too much because that pump is equally matched for that skimmer, so I don't want to mess with the flow rate of that. I still have my reactors going, just running carbon right now. Nothing else. Still debating and doing some more research on the different types of bio pellets and GFO and everything else, and comparing cost, people. I'm trying to keep my system low budget as possible. There's no need to spend a ton of money on something or another product when you can get the same results off something that is not quote-unquote name brands per se. So as you can see, I'm still got a little bit of work to do. So a lot of parts laying around. I'm gonna switch out my blue containers to some brute containers, or either some water storage containers that I was introduced to by Adjuster Frank, and I like the look of those containers. Just my only problem with those is they're not on wheels. I could probably build something to put them on wheels, but I want something kind of wheel around, saying that I'm in an apartment. That way I don't have to a whole bunch of, visible containers. I can roll a brute container around and store it in the closet if I have to. But I plan on upgrading one of those containers to an auto shut off. I have to purchase 50 feet of 1/4 inch hosing, so I can run that from underneath my kitchen sink to wherever I'm going to set that up, either under the carpet or above, tacked to the ceiling. That there is the auto shut-off valve, the manual shut-off valve. That's just a coupling and a float switch. I decided not to get a booster pump, seeing that I got good pressure coming from my water supply. This pump here is a Cedra 5000. I just dropped this inside of one of those blue containers that you saw in one of my previous videos. Add my salt, and this joker does marvels at churning the water at a fast rate to mix it quickly, so I don't have to sit for hours. So it doesn't have to sit for hours. A little quick tip, a little DIY thing I stumbled across with my 90. I haven't incorporated these into my 220 yet, but I do plan to. I was able to keep my overflows pretty clean by dropping a few of these pumps down in the bottom of those overflows. They're just a little standard small little table pond pumps. You just drop one of these down in there. Most of them come with the suction cups, and get that close to the bottom as you can, and that just stirs up the water and detritus at the bottom of your tank to help it push it back up into your overflow plumbing to put it down in your sump and get filtered out. You still want to do your 6 months maintenance on your overflows, checking to make sure everything's clean and you don't got a lot of algae and sponge growing in there to get clogged or whatever. But you want to keep your overflow boxes pretty clean as possible, and believe it or not, people, that helps a lot. This here is just a nori. A lot of people buy this Reef Nutrition and all of the other different name brands. Me, as you can see, for about $3.49 at Myers, I get a ton of it, about 3 times as much as I would buying it from a local pet store. It's dried seaweed, nori, and fish like this, in my opinion, a little better than the stuff that you buy quoted for the reef hobby. I am a big Seachem user. These are one of the not the best, but the most affordable product with great results that I've stumbled across. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm a big user of the dosing products for Seachem. I've been coming across a lot of people's videos, and they use B-Ionic 2-part, and I'm thinking about trying it out. But for the most part, I just mix this up. Got 2 containers over there that I mix it in, and I just pour it in, measure it with a measuring cup as need be. This here is my auto top-off unit. I did not make this a quarantine tank, at least not at this moment. I think I'm gonna end up getting another 20 and throwing underneath that 90 just for quarantine. But I like the fact that this is so close to my sump and don't have a lot of hoses and wires running everywhere for my auto top off. So I plan to keep this set up this way. I have that powered by MaxiJet 1200, and there's another pump. I'm not sure what that is. I'm not sure if that's the new version of MaxiJet. None of the numbers are on it. Bought it used from my pet store, but that's just there to churn the water, just to keep it moving and circulating so nothing settles if there's anything in the water. I am using ROD water, so chances of that is not likely, but as you can see, that little float switch is for my auto top off, which I did go out and get. I was gonna get the Tunzi, but I chose the JBJ ATO due to the price that this one was less expensive than the Tunzi. The Tunzi was around 200. This one here was around 100. So it's all about cost, people, and functionality. And so far, I have not been disappointed with it. However, I do have to take it apart and adjust the timing switch inside of that box, because when it tops off, it doesn't shut off when it gets to my desired mark. At least, it hasn't, and it overfills to about 1 inch over where it needs to be. So I'm gonna make that adjustment. I heard that you can take apart, adjust the time that you can or limit the time that you have your pump running. But that's basically it. As you can see, the skimmer is still running, producing a lot of skimmate. I'm kind of in the middle of a wet and dry skim process. The drier you get it, the quicker that neck gets a lot of buildup, which slows down the skim process. So I kind of keep it in between the wet setting and the dry setting. And I'm changing this out about every 3 days. And today is day 3, so pretty sure by the end of the night it'll be at that max capacity where it'll start bubbling at the top or spilling over the side. So I'll be changing that today and cleaning it out. But for the most part, this is the sump area. Stay tuned, I'll be right back with the display tank. So, sit tight. Alright, we're back, baby. This is 007, and now we're moving on to the display tank. Just wanted to go real briefly over my sand bed. Sorry about the exposure. I got about a 3.5 to 4.5 inch sand bed going across here. I'm doing this with my cell phone, so it's kind of hard to see the life that I'm seeing or looking at. But there is life in my bed, and this is about a month-old setup with some of the sand out of my other tanks, as well as about 180 to 200 pounds of new sand. But starting from right to left, this section here is just what I call the boneyard. Just a bunch of snail shells that I got in here for my hermit crabs to come to and change out as they grow. And I'm seeing them hop in and out every other day. This right here is just my little mushroom garden I got set up. Not sure of all the names, but just trying to keep those separate so they don't toxify other corals or start a chemical warfare. Trying to keep those in the same general area. But for the most part, I'm happy with it. Tank's doing very good so far. I did suffer some casualties, unfortunately, but that's part of this hobby. And it was saddening that I lost a couple of fish. They were some of my favorites. There's one of my firefish. That's the only one I have left of the purple. I had 2 of those. One is missing. Haven't found his body and have not seen it, so I'm chalking it up as a loss. I was able to put 2 pair of clowns in here. I put the 2 pair of clowns in the 55 prior to breaking it down, just to see what they would do. And for the most part, they did get along for a little while. However, the big female was, I believe, killed, and was left with 3. Now I'm down to 2. Now, part of the loss that I suffered had to do with some of the sand that I put in here. Now, I've got some advice from other hobbyists not to use this sand, but like you say, like I told you guys before, I'm about costs and expenses, so I'm just not going to throw all the sand away. I did not use all of that sand. However, I just took the top layer off with all of the detritus and threw that away, and took the next 1/2 inch to 1 inch off that 55 and incorporated it in here. However, when I did that, people, though I ran a UV sterilizer for almost a year on that tank, I still had some parasites living in that sand bed. And when I dumped that sand in here, that kind of gave them like a free-for-all to attach themselves as the sand settled and as they settled to the bottom. And I do believe that one of my clownfish did get the worst end of that. And the 2 existing clowns that are in here now they have a little bit of ick going on, or velvet, whatever you call, but they're still eating, and it's lessening less and less every day. I'm pretty sure they're getting some help from the peppermint shrimps and the blood shrimps that are in here, but it is what it is. I did lose my powder brown tang as well. That was a big, beautiful fish. It was about 5 inches, and I hadn't had him long. He came in before the tank got here, which I was forced to put him in my 90. He was very uncomfortable in the 90. Didn't have a lot of free space because it was just overcrowded in there with rock and livestock, so he did not make it. I have yet to see my green mandarins. I had 3 of them, and they're not in here. Well, I haven't seen them in over a week, so I'm chalking those up as a loss. Also, there were 2 females and a male. However, there's one of those clownfish now. They've laid eggs somewhere in the back there, and they'll come out and go back down in that little cave. But I do, however, still have my 2 target mandarins still in here. My Scooter Blenny, that's Scooter, scooting around, he's still in there. But you know, it's part of the hobby, you know, take the good, bad, and the ugly. It's unfortunate, and I was attached to those fish, but I expected the worst. I had actually expected it to be a lot worse than what I got, but it is what it is, people. Got some sun coral in here that's doing pretty good. They've opened up pretty nicely. Glad that they are for the video. They're doing real good. Got some black ones and some yellows mixed in there. But for the most part, here it is. I don't know all my names of my coral, so I'm not going to play like a big shot or the advanced hobbyist, but that's a devil's hand. That thing was about the size of a quarter when I first got it, and it's just taken off. This is my little forest over here. I don't have enough flow in this corner because I moved some things around, so I got to readjust my flow inside, but that's just a bunch of about 4 stalks of Kenya tree growing over there. And there's another piece of what I think is Kenya tree. It's a slightly different color, but when I bought it a frag swap as well as the other orange looking piece right there. And they told me it wasn't Kenya tree, it was just some type of softy. I can't remember the name of it, but I still think that's all in the same family. But anyway, those are some 2 new mining caps I got, like a reddish brown color and some type of orange and green color. Just trying to find those at home, and just got them sitting there for now until I figure out when I'm going to glue those on. One of my little targets there, got a male and a female. So I guess call that Euphyllia, hammer corals or whatever. Those things are doing very great, very great. The green star polyps back there propagating itself at will. I think I'm going to end up getting rid of that big hunk because I got a lot of it inside that 90, as well as some other pieces I've just dropped on some rock and it attached itself and growing in the tank. So I don't want a whole bunch of that stuff. It's nice, but it grows too fast and it propagates itself, and before you know it, your whole tank and rock could be covered in that crap. So I keep an eye on it and keep it. When I see a piece about to come off of it, when it's closed up, I just go ahead and rip it off and attach it to a rock or frag plug and put it in the 90. Some yellow star polyps, I do believe those are. Some more mushrooms. Sun coral. Can't see it right there, but there's some orange sponge back there in between those rocks. Some other hammers starting to take off. That one there had got lost for a while. It was upside down inside the sand bed, but it's recovering, trying to get some color back to it. So I was digging in the tank, excuse the splatters there, but some stuff that got knocked over from my crabs and snails. So when I got some epoxy, as you can see, and start gluing some of this stuff down instead of trying to wedge it in between the rocks. I don't like using that epoxy that much, so I try and force fit a lot of stuff in between the crevice of a rock. But anyway, this right here is my yellow leather coral. It wasn't doing too well. I had it up too high and close to the mellow highlights, and I think I singed it a little bit. So I moved it down lower, and it's slowly gaining its life and color back. And it hasn't fully inflated itself and extended upward like it was in the 90, but it's recovering. It's finally getting some color back to it, and polyps are starting to surface out of the skin there. But this right here is my little zoanthic garden. I'm gonna try and grow off this piece of rock. This is actually a piece of dead coral. I'm not sure what it was, but I just dropped those pieces in there, some red, green, and some brown platies or zoanthids, and I'm gonna attach some of those eventually to that rock and try and make a little zoanthic tree, so to speak, out of that piece of coral. Bubble coral ain't doing too well. It's another piece that got lost in the sand bed. Dug it out, and it's trying to slowly recover as well. These trumpets are doing pretty good, starting to branch off and split heads now. There's another little piece right there next to that target man there that was lost in the sand bed. Found it, and it's finally getting some flesh back on it. Hopefully see that revive, because it was like a pretty red color at one point. Some sponge on that rock, my little frog spawn, about the size of a quarter when I got it, and that's starting to take off. I can't remember what that piece is right there, but I thought it was dead when I put it out to 90. It's actually glued to that rock, but it's starting to surface a little bit of flesh and starting to recover. I'm glad to see that. It was a bright neon green. The whole thing was neon green and yellow, so I'm hoping that revives itself. Got two bubble tip anemones. There was actually one, and a rock got flipped over and it was trapped, and it decided to propagate and split itself to get from under the rock. So I ended up with that piece, as well as that piece there. It's got a big piece of krill in its mouth trying to go up down, and just fed him. But anywho, my aquascaping, pretty happy with it so far. I just got to get my power heads pointing in the right direction to get the flow I'm desiring through that rock. But I got, as you can see, I got plenty of caves, crevices, tunnels. Probably from this view it might look like a big wall, but believe me people, there's a lot of room behind all of that stuff. Most of the stuff that attaches to the back wall is just leaning against the back wall, but I got a good 6 to 8 inches off the back wall towards the bottom, so I can get some flow back there and try to stir it up and whatever. But for the most part, this is it. Thank you for your patience. I hope you like it. Please do rate, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for all the support. Shout out to everybody. You know who you are, and those of you yet to subscribe, please do so. It's a great hobby. You can learn a lot from myself as well as the other hobbyists that are on YouTube. 90's still doing good. I don't bother keeping the lights on too much, probably 2 or 3 times a week, but there's nothing in there but sand and bacteria. So to keep the algae as well as the light bill down, I don't run those lights as often as I would if I had livestock in them. But this is it, people. Thank you for sharing this experience with me, and thank you for all your support. And as always, there is no fishing in my fish tank.